Good evening. Welcome to the Town Council regular meeting, April the 15th, 2021. Can I get a roll call vote?
Buckholz present.
Holloway present. O'Brien present.
Grossman present.
Fulmer present.
Let it be known we've established a quorum. Can we all stand for a moment of silence and pledge allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Before we get started, I want to recognize our newest council member that was appointed, Ms. Ellen O'Brien. Welcome. Thank you for joining our team up here. I look forward to working with you next.
Me as well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Okay, item 3A, recognitions of visitors and presentations. Tree City USA presentation, Mr. Phil Gickin. Yep, can you limit this like 15 seconds?
15 seconds? I'll try it. Remove my mask while I'm speaking.
Yes.
So I'm Phil Getkin. I live at 602 Jefferson Avenue, and I'm here to represent the Cape Charles Tree Advisory Board and to officially announce that Cape Charles has been recognized by the Arbor Day Foundation as a Tree City USA. So this is really, we're very pleased about that. The Tree Advisory Board has been working on it for a while, and we recently got notification that we were approved. Got some of the good stuff over here that I'll be showing here. I don't know whether, Andy, whether we can put Cape Charles at the bottom there, but anyhow. So the Arbor Day Foundation put out a press release, and I just wanted to read just a couple sentences from the, few more than 5 seconds, but a few of the off the press release.
Take your time.
So Cape Charles, Virginia was named a 2020 Tree City USA by the Arbor Day Foundation in honor of its commitment to effective urban forest management. Cape Charles achieved Tree City USA recognition by meeting the program's 4 requirements. A tree board or department, which we have, the Tree Advisory Board, a tree care ordinance, which we have, it's Appendix F to our zoning ordinance, which was an offshoot of the 2006 Master Tree Plan. An annual community forestry budget of at least $2 per capita, which we met through grants and other things, and an Arbor Day observance and proclamation, which we had a little one last year, and the mayor read a proclamation last year. We are going to attempt to have a 2021 recognition as well, so the mayor in just a few minutes will be reading the proclamation for the Arbor Day celebration. Tree City USA communities see the impact an urban forest has in a community firsthand, said Dan Lamb, president of the Arbor Day Foundation. The trees being planted and cared for by Cape Charles are ensuring that generations to come will enjoy a better quality of life. If there was ever a time for trees, now is the time. Communities worldwide are facing issues with air quality, water resources, personal health and well-being, energy use, and protection from extreme heat and flooding. With the Tree City USA recognition, Cape Charles has demonstrated a commitment to effective urban forest management and doing its part to help address these challenges for Cape Charles residents now and in the future. And if you would just bear with me for a second, I just wanted to talk about the Tree Advisory Board, what we've done over the past year, and some of the things that we've accomplished. So we came to the town council about a little over a year ago. We had 6 citizens in Cape Charles that formed the Tree Advisory Board. We drafted a charter and presented our idea of the advisory board to the town council at the time. One of our Cape Charles residents and former tree board advisory member, Marita Patterson, provided the initial impetus to move the group forward. Currently, we have 5 people on the advisory board. Christine Williams is the chair, myself, Jane McKinley, Joe Fair, and Barbara O'Hare. Our primary purpose is to assist the town in maintaining and improving the tree canopy. Some of the things that we've done over the last year, we've been working with the planning and zoning department for tree removal and planting recommendations. And we've done at least 7 of those. We've been providing tree consultations to residents. Anybody that is referred to us, we give them advice. We have put together a list of at-risk trees, which there are some in town. We've provided the list to Public Works, John Lockwood, and John had met with VDOT recently to discuss some of those trees. So hopefully when money is available from VDOT or they're in town, maybe they can start taking care of some of these things. We have developed also a native tree set of recommendations for Cape Charles, so whenever we give the planning and zoning department a recommendation on either planting or removing a tree, we give also the person a list of native trees to replace. We've been publishing articles in the Gazette and Mirror, and last week we assisted the Public Works by pruning the 40 willow oaks on Washington. They're young, but they still need to be trained so that they're above the lights and all that stuff. So, and finally, we will be, the Tree Advisory Board will be celebrating Arbor Day, and the mayor will be reading the proclamation here in a second, on April 30th, and it'll be held on Strawberry Plaza from 1 to 5 in the afternoon, and we're going to be giving out information on trees, advice on planting and pruning trees, and there'll be games for kids, and we'll have a town-wide tree scavenger hunt. So, thank you very much for allowing me to talk to you and give you the good news about Tree City.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, Phil mentioned it, but I wanted to just publicly thank the board for your help with the Public Works and working so closely with Public Works and taking direction from them and assisting them in being a kind of force multiplier for us. So I just wanted to publicly recognize them and thank you for your work.
And we're getting suggestions from Public Works and other people on other things that we can do to help. And we are looking forward to doing that. So I just want to make a presentation on this plaque. We do, Arbor Day, you've probably seen these in other towns, that signs that we'll have to work with Public Works on where we'll put that, but hopefully at the entrance to town. We've got 2 of these signs. One of them, the Central Park, Friends of Central Park is interested in posting a sign near they have a sign that identifies all their trees that are in the park, which is a lot of them. And so they may be interested in putting one of them next to that sign. Got a nice big Tree City flag that will have to fly somewhere. And we do have a plaque, and this is Tree City, Arbor Day Foundation, Cape Charles, Virginia, 2020. And hopefully we can pull this out next year, put a 2021 in there. So I'll make this presentation to the mayor, and hopefully we can put that in town hall or something.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Come down for a picture?
Yeah.
Come down for a picture.
Drop the mask.
Jeez.
One more just in case. If you don't-
Now, I'd like to say, before I read this proclamation, one of my memories in school growing up as a kid, Arbor Day was a day to get out of school free. And they just bought a whole bunch of trees over to Smith Island, and we planted, every year we planted trees on Arbor Day. So it was pretty cool to get out of school, and some of them still alive, some of them didn't make it because of Smith Island the way it is, but it was still pretty cool. So thank you, Phil. Proclamation 2021-0415, celebrate Arbor Day. Whereas, in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce erosion of our precious topsoils by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life, give in oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas there are 59 Tree City USA communities in Virginia, and Cape Charles is the first Tree City community in Northampton County, Virginia. Now therefore, I, William Smitty Dye, Mayor of the Town of Cape Charles, do hereby proclaim April the 30th, 2021 as Arbor Day. In the Town of Cape Charles, I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. Further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of future generations. It's adopted by Town Council, Cape Charles, on the 15th day of April 21st. And,
I'll make a motion that we adopt the proclamation.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all. Phil? Okay, I'm gonna take this off. This is all me for the next 4 or 5 items, so sorry. Up next, item C, National Building Safety Month Proclamation. Proclamation 2021-04-15A, Building Safety Month, May 2021. Whereas the Town of Cape Charles is committed to recognize that our growth and strength depends on the safety and economic values of homes, buildings, infrastructure that serve citizens both in everyday life and times of disaster. And whereas our confidence in the resilience of these buildings that make up our community is achieved through the devotion and vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, plumbers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians are dedicated members of the International Code Council, a nonprofit that brings together local, state, and federal officials that are expected to, in the built environment, to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect us in the buildings where we live, learn, work, play. And whereas our nation benefits economically and technologically from using the international codes that are developed by the National Voluntary Consensus Codes and Standards developed in an organization, our government is viable to avoid the high cost and complexity of developing and maintaining these codes, which are mostly widely adopted building safety and fire prevention codes in the world. And whereas these modern building codes include safeguards to protect the public from hazards such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildland fires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of our communities, largely unknown protectors of public safety, and local code officials who assure us of safe, sustainable, energy efficient, and livable buildings that are essential to America's prosperity. And whereas Prevent, Prepare, Protect, Building Code Save, the theme for Building Safety Month 2021 encourages all Americans to raise awareness about the importance of safe and resilient construction, fire prevention, disaster mitigation, energy conservation, water safety, training the next generation, and new technologies in the construction industry. And whereas each year, the observance of Building Safety Month, people all over the world are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety, resilience, and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local, state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now therefore, I, William Smitty Dye, Mayor of the Town of Cape Charles, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2021, Building Safety Month accordingly. I encourage our citizens to join with the community in participation of Building Safety Month activities. Can I get a motion to adopt proclamation 2021-0415A?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. It was adopted by the Cape Charles Town Council on this day, May 15th of April, 2021. Jeb here? Johnny.
Do we got time?
I got a question. Why does all of these come in the same month?
Yeah.
Can't they spread this out a little
All
bit?
these organizations, they all do May.
All right. Town of Cape Charles proclamation, excuse me. This one is for National Police Week proclamation, May the 9th through the 15th, 2021. Town of Cape Charles proclamation 2021-0415B to recognize National Peace Officers Memorial Day and National Police Week 2021. To honor the service and sacrifice those law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty while protecting our communities and safeguarding our democracy. Whereas, in 1962, President John F. Kennedy signed a proclamation which designated May the 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which that date falls as Police Week. And whereas May the 15th, 2021 has been designated as National Police Officers Memorial Day and May the 9th through the 15th, 2021 as National Police Week. And whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Town Council, the Town of Cape Charles Police Department. And whereas the members of the Cape Charles Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights, the freedoms of the citizens of the Town of Cape Charles and provide vital public service. And whereas since the first recorded death in 1786, more than 22,500 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and have been killed in the line of duty. And whereas the National Law Enforcement Memorial Fund will host their 33rd Candlelight Vigil virtually on May the 13th, 2021 at 8 p.m. to memorialize those who sacrificed all for their communities. An in-person event honoring the fallen will be held during the National Police Weekend on October the 13th through the 17th, 2021. Now, therefore it be proclaimed that Cape Charles Town Council formally designates May the 15th, 2021 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of the fallen citizens and their families, and the U.S. flags should be flown at half staff. Be further proclaimed that Cape Charles Town Council formally designates May the 9th through the 15th, 2021 as Police Week in the Town of Cape Charles and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our communities across the nation. Can I get a motion to adopt proclamation 2021-0415B?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adopted by Town of Cape Charles on this 15th day of April 21st. Jimmy? Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much. All right, National Public Works Week proclamation. Okay, Stronger Together, proclamation 2021-0415C, National Public Works Week, May the 16th through the 23rd, 2021, Stronger Together. Whereas public work professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and service that are vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of people in the Town of Cape Charles. Whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and in the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children of the Town of Cape Charles to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2021 marks the 61st Annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association, and now be it proclaimed that Cape Charles Town Council hereby designates May the 16th through the 22nd, 2021 as National Public Works Week, and urges all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association, and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designated to pay tribute to our public work professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. Can I get a motion to adopt Proclamation 2021-0415C?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Adopted by the Town Council of Cape Charles on this 15th day of April 2021. Mr. Lockwood? Thank you, sir, for all you do.
Does he get the week of the 16th off then?
No, I just go through that.
He has to work to get ready for the event.
All right, last but not least, save the best for last, don't we, Libby? Proclamation 2021-0415D, the 52nd Annual Professionals Municipal Clerks Week, May the 2nd through 8th, 2021. Whereas the Office of Professional Municipal Clerks, a time-honored and a vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the Office of Professional Municipal Clerks and the oldest among public servants, and whereas the Office of Professional Municipal Clerks provide the professional link between the citizens and local governing bodies and agencies of government at other levels, and whereas professional municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering an equal service to all, and whereas the professional municipal clerks serve as the information center of functions of local government and community, and whereas professional municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of affairs of the office of the professional municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professions organization. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the professional municipal clerk. Now, therefore it be proclaimed that the Cape Charles Town Council hereby recognizes the week of May the 2nd through May the 8th, 2021 as Professionals Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our professional municipal clerk, Libby Hume, MMC, and to all the professional municipal clerks for their vital service they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities as they present. Can I get a motion to adopt Proclamation 2021-0415D?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Adopted by the Town of Cape Charles on this 15th day of April 2021. Ms. Libby? Thank you very much.
Yeah, really.
That's okay. I'm sure the citizens are sorry too. All right, public comments, 3 minutes per speaker.
Mark Marshall.
Have it, Mr. Marshall.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I have been vaccinated, but these things are difficult to talk. Mark Marshall, 2198 Stone Road, Cape Charles, Virginia, representing the Cape Charles Brewing Company, owned by myself, my brother, and my mother, family business. Just for your edification, back in 2016, when we purchased the property, we obviously desired to put in a production brewery as well as a brew pub, a destination site. We built the project out through 2016 into 2017. We understood that as we built this, that that we may have some speed issues in front of our business. At the time and today, it's a 55-mile-per-hour speed limit that goes right past our business, our building. Doesn't drop down into 40 miles an hour until it's out literally where the town has their wells. And it drops down roughly about there. And then a little ways later into town, it drops down to 25 miles per hour. It's an interstate speed. Even back in 2017, while we were of the mantra, if you build it, we hope they'll come. We didn't know, but we did know that we are a production brewery. We have it is a production brewery. We have production trucks, supply trucks, carrying our product statewide, and now we're moving into some interstate markets. More importantly, the retail side, the actual brew pub has evolved. We're now 3 years in business, and I will tell you that fortunately we answered that question. If you build it, will they come? We're a destination site. We certainly attract people from all over, both residents and visitors alike coming to the area. Now, I will tell you, back in 2017, the council did adopt a resolution requesting the speed limit to be dropped down to 25 miles per hour. They made that request. Look, I get it, it's a state-maintained road. You don't have control of that road. But VDOT certainly takes into consideration what the governing body and certainly what the municipality would like to do. And that was done back in 2017. A resolution was passed, and a request is made to VDOT. VDOT, in June of 2018, did a study, and they determined, unfortunately, that the speed reduction was not warranted. Now, we'll tell you, we didn't open until mid-June of 2018. And we only had opened at that time with our tasting room. Afterwards, after the study had been done, we opened up the restaurant. And now today, we are enjoying double-digit increases every year. I will tell you that during the busy time, we have anywhere between 12 to 2,000 people that are visiting our site every day. That's every day. That's the motoring public, those people on bicycles, yes, people on golf carts. They come with their families, they come with their pets. Unfortunately, the 55 mile per hour zone has persisted, and it certainly needed to be addressed. And tragically, a few weeks ago, we had a dog that was hit and killed in front of the brewery. I will tell you that on any given day, and we sometimes have 200 or 300 people out in our green space. We've got a great green space. We've got activities for kids. It's a great way for people to stretch out. It's a great way for people to feel safe and yet enjoy a good meal, a good beverage, and we certainly have activities. I would implore you, it has already been done, that resolution was done back in 2017. It certainly hasn't been rescinded. Having a current resolution to go back to VDOT and ask them to do a new study would certainly be appropriate. Things have changed. It's 2021. It's a lot more people than it was back in 2018, 2019, 2020, and certainly now. If the last couple of weeks are any indication of what our summer is going to be like, thank goodness, we're going to be really, really busy. But yet it's dangerous. We have seen too many near misses as our patrons are coming into our parking lot, coming out. It's danger to the motoring public. It's a danger to the people that are visiting our facility, our establishment. It affects residents. It affects visitors, it affects our employees. I would respectfully request that we start the first part of the process, part of that conversation, and that is to get a new resolution on the book asking them to reduce that speed limit to 25 miles per hour. And my suggestion, because our property literally extends to the town line would be the appropriate place for it to drop to 25 miles per hour. Now, whether we extended that further, that's a VDOT question. But I will tell you that the property continues to expand. We're continuing to expand. That blue building that you see, the old Reliable Hardware store, is going to be turned into a special event space, and it's going to continue to expand that activity. I would really, really implore you all to consider and to pass a resolution asking VDOT to do another study, to drop that speed limit to 25 miles per hour. They're going to do their study. We are prepared to obviously ask all interested parties to get VDOT to change that speed limit. We really want them to change it. But this is a first step. And it's an important step because it matters. What you all say will have bearing on whether they even do the study, and then what the outcome of that study will be. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sarah and Rich Bowling.
All right, so I've put together a statement for the council this evening regarding the dog that was mentioned by Mark. So good evening, my name is Sarah Bowling, and I'm here tonight with my husband, Rich. We've been property owners here in Cape Charles since 2003 at 219 Tazewell. I've been coming to the Eastern Shore all of my life, as my mom was from Cape Charles, my dad was from Painter. I have watched the Eastern Shore, Cape Charles in particular, grow and change over many, many years. The reason I'm before you today involves an incident that occurred on Friday, March 26th. Sadly, our 2-year-old chocolate lab named Pearl, she was hit by a car in front of the Cape Charles Brewery on Stone Road, right around dusk, right around that time frame. Although we're saddened at the loss of our girl, our family member, this accident, it could have been far worse. Pearl weighed approximately the same weight as a 10-year-old child. Had the circumstances been slightly different, we could be potentially discussing the needless death of a child who perhaps might have been enjoying a family evening at the brewery. Currently, speed limit is 55 miles an hour at the brewery. At this rate of speed, and we investigated this, according to AAA, at 55 miles per hour, a pedestrian being struck by a car is 9 times more likely to die as compared to an impact at 25 miles per hour. So thinking forward, it is in the best interest of the community and the public safety to seek a sound resolution for everyone. The posted speed limit of 55 miles per hour should be reduced to 55 miles per hour. A finalized 2018 VDOT study about this topic concluded that the 55 mile an hour speed limit was appropriate at that time. Frankly, this is quite surprising, really. As we all know, life has changed in Cape Charles. There's an increased population, particularly in the warmer months. New businesses have opened. The beach market right down here. Pedestrian foot traffic as well as golf cart traffic, has exploded. So our recommendation is to appeal to our elected state officials to demand a reassessment of this VDOT 2018 decision. Our belief is that it would be appropriate to extend the 25 mile per hour speed limit zone from its current position east to the town limits. While we are super sad, remain deeply saddened by the untimely loss of our brown dog, Pearl, we recognize a much larger safety risk that requires immediate attention, really, by the town and by VDOT. So with that being said, I'm open to questions, Rich is open to questions, and I'm sure Mark is as well.
Anybody have any?
Thank you.
Ms. Bowling? Thank you, Ms. Bowling.
Is that it? Thank you.
to sign it, but I do have one that was submitted.
Okay.
To be read.
Mr. Mayor, I didn't put my name down because I didn't know I was wanting to speak tonight, but if I could make just a couple of
Come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
members of the council. All I want to say is this, is I support this, a new resolution, a new speed limit on Stone Road. It's a dangerous road. We all know that. I travel it all the time. I'm sure everybody here does too. And I would be more than pleased to take whatever resolution this council passes to the Board of Supervisors, and I'm pretty sure I can get the votes to join with you when going to VDOT, so we have a unified approach, because it is town edge. I mean, like it or not, and my position on town edge is we should be working with the town to make sure that what we do in the county and what we do in the town is consistent. So I will be pleased to carry that to the Board of Supervisors if that's what you desire.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Supervisor Copeland. Thank you very much.
Okay, I have a, can I take this off to read?
Yes,
Thank you. I have emails submitted by Ms. Margaret Van Cleef. She says, "I'm writing to lend my support to the notion that the speed limit should be lowered east of town on Stone Road. Foot, bicycle, and golf cart traffic has increased significantly on parts of the road that are marked 40 and 55 miles per hour, and it seems dangerous. I would propose that, at a minimum, the speed limit near the Cape Charles Brewing Company be reduced to 40 miles an hour and that it drop to 25 where it is currently marked as 40. Thanks very much for your time. Have a lovely evening."
thank you, Libby. Item 5, consent agenda. Approval of the agenda format, approval of the minutes, approval of the February 28th, 2021 financial report. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Unfinished business. We never have that anymore because John finishes everything. Item 7A, new business. Revisions to tank code, sections 42-17 and 42-71 and 50-192. Mr. Hosey?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is in response to comments that I've heard the council make and in response to the objectives in our new strategic plan. We were just talking about safety on roads, and this dovetails into that, especially with regard to the golf carts. As has been noted, and I agree, the golf cart traffic has increased over recent years, and there has been not very good adherence to the rules in the past, especially with regard to underage drivers, driving on prohibited areas, things of that nature. So we've been talking about how we go about performing better enforcement, which is one of the milestones and the objective of the strategic plan. So Chief Pruitt and I discussed this and determined the best way to do that is to authorize a fine for this. And to do that, we had to make a few minor changes to the code, specifically where it would talk about a fine, the penalty being a Class 4 misdemeanor. We instead changed it to a fine of not more than $250, and that's because a Class 4 misdemeanor fine is up to $250. So what this does is it allows the police officer to use judgment on what needs to be done, and we have a new violation book that we're proposing be printed that they would use to write these violations. Should a citizen object to that, there's still the opportunity to provide them with a summons to go see a judge. Then there's court costs involved. So So this is the most expedient way of doing that. Now, when we looked at implementing this, and we looked at the current code book or violation notice that we had, it was obvious it was pretty out of date. It's been a while since we looked at it. So we did an overall tune-up of that book to not just cover golf carts, but cover other things like parking violations. The cost of parking, the violation is way cheaper than actual legal parking is in many other places. I mean, it just simply wouldn't provide a deterrent. So we proposed a new format that's attached to the agenda statement that shows that parking fines would be increased to $50 with the exception of parking in the handicap zone, which would be $100. We added in here dogs on the beach or at large, which would be $50. And then and some of the golf cart issues that we just talked about. Most of them being on prohibited areas, not displaying the decal, would be $50 as well. We added in bicycles, skateboards, other wheel conveyances on prohibited walkways. That wasn't there before, again at $50. But the big one that seemed to be of concern was this idea of the unlicensed driver. And so we are suggesting fairly heavy fines for that. A tiered system where the first offense would be $100, and should someone have a second offense, that we'd go to the maximum of $250. When we say a second offense, that's within 1 year, within the same year. We are open to suggestions to whether you think this is overly punitive or if you think that any of these are not punitive enough. Open to your comments or suggestions about that. And the chief is here to answer questions, should you have any. But what's most critical is that once you're satisfied with whatever this fee structure is, it's critical that we all agree to follow it. It's human nature. Someone will get a notice violation. They'll go to the mayor, they'll go to the manager, they'll go to one of you and say, hey, can you take care of this for me? And we can't have that. It has to be. We have to back each other up on this, and so that's why I'm asking for your support that you approve this. So it's not mine. It's not the chief of police. This is the council's violation book. So with that, we're prepared to answer any questions.
Did we get a copy?
It's in your packet.
No, to use.
We'll be glad to help.
Especially this little kid.
Councilman Fulmer?
Yeah, thank you, and yes, count me in. Thank you, first of all, to staff. This is something we've talked about and we desperately need, so thank you very much for the work on it. I definitely don't feel it's overly punitive. In fact, I think my suggestion on the unlicensed golf cart driver was about 4 times greater penalties, so, but this is fine. Question on the bicycles, skateboards, and other on the prohibited sidewalks, which will be Mason Avenue.
Once we sign it correctly. Remember, we changed the code. And
Right. But then my question
it has
is,
to be properly signed according to VDOT, but once it is properly signed, then this would come into play.
so I know on the golf carts, if it's a child or an unlicensed driver, the police will take them home. Will they be doing the same thing if there's an unaccompanied child on a skateboard or a bicycle on the sidewalk on Mason Avenue, or how are lone children going to be handled?
You want to field that one, Chief?
You mean as far as taking a nice ticket up to them and all that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess we can. Yeah.
You're gonna have
I
to.
mean, if they're
because they're under 18 or
under
something.
age,
Okay.
Anybody have any questions? I actually have a question. And I guess this is more for either one of you. But on the handicap parked in a handicap zone.
Usually
I know typically like 250.
500.
Yeah, it's like 250 to 500 on most signs you get.
That's just what's currently in the ordinance now, but it could be up to 250, couldn't it, Chief, if we wanted
could be
to?
up to 250.
So if you want to adjust that up, we can certainly do that.
Yeah.
I think most of the signs display a higher rate.
I would like council to consider that when we go somebody makes a motion on this, so.
And, yeah, any of these can be changed, just do a motion and a second to amend anything here for the record.
Okay.
I move we adjust the handicapped fine to up to $250 is what we can do.
Well, I would prefer you pick something, not up
Oh,
to.
the $250.
Yeah, Virginia code reads, conviction is offense, could reach hundreds of $500.
Yeah, because most of the signs I've seen have been 500.
Okay. Then
Just say up to 2.
I move to 500.
We've got a motion.
second it, yeah.
Got a second? All in favor of 500?
Aye.
Any discussion? I forgot to ask that. Nope.
I'll oppose that.
Okay. Did we get 4 ayes here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any more questions? Can I get a motion to adopt ordinance 2021-0415 with the amended changes?
So moved.
Second?
I move for adoption of, any more comments, questions? I move for adoption of ordinance 2021-0415, adoption revision to Cape Charles Time Code sections 42-17, 42-71, and 50-192, with the amended changes as noticed, and forego the reading of the ordinance. Can I get a roll call vote?
Buckles, yes.
Holloway, yes. O'Brien, yes.
Grossman, yes.
Fulmer, yes.
All
I
right.
I have one. I just want to, because I want to commend Chief Pruitt and Don for doing this and making this step forward. I do want to make sure that we communicate the changes, because there is kind of an expectation, and it's not right. But I think we need to put it forward that the changes are down, and we're moving in that direction. I know the mayor is going to set up a meeting with some, but
Once you all have blessed this, it's gonna at least take a month to get made, hopefully just a month.
sure.
And what-
That's your grace period to pass over,
Yeah, I just want to make sure we have a plan,
A press release would be a good
yeah,
idea.
to do that.
So, maybe we'll put something in the Gazette. And as you mentioned, the mayor is very appropriately stepped up to make this known. He's meeting with the golf cart rental operators, and he's going to work with Main Street to try and get a meeting with all the short-term rentals to let them know.
Right.
So, yes, we need to publicize this as much as possible. We've also are in the process of getting some more signs, golf cart, circle slash, for certain places. So we are going to be stepping up enforcement.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, I know the group, the vacation homeowners group is really taking a proactive step, and I think that call will help.
Yep.
But I want to make sure that we put the police in a position for success.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And for people in the county, I think the Eastern Shore Post would be a good place to.
And don't forget to include both Bay Creek sides, because that's still,
Don't what?
don't forget Bay Creek's, both sides on Bay Creek.
What about it?
Right.
Those rules still exist in there.
No, I don't
Yeah, they
think
do.
that's correct, is it?
They're not, you cannot enforce something in there? Driving on the road?
golf carts. But
Well, I'd still inform them, just so they're on the same page, because if they're riding there and they
it's
decide
state
to,
maintained roads, and they're not state maintained private highways.
still should let them know, just so
Yeah.
they're on the same page. Even though we can't give
Oh,
them a
yeah.
But
fine.
it's good to have a discussion to let them know that they
We
can't.
can't give them the fine,
If
just
they
still
come
let
out of
them
the
know.
gate,
Right,
so.
yeah, just for a positive experience.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's the.
Because we've had kids wipe out
City, we need
compound
to
fractures,
include
it's
the
been a
Hotel
nightmare over there.
Right.
Because they have their own
Oh,
fleet.
yeah. I'll get up with you tomorrow,
Okay.
and we'll try to get a list together, and
Okay.
put our heads
Yeah.
together, but we want to try to, just get everybody to work on the same page with this and make it as smooth as possible, so. All right, up next, 7B, conditional use permit application, 1 Fig Street, tax map, number 83A3-1-534. Mr. Hosey, you're on deck.
Okay, these next two I think are pretty straightforward. They've been through the process with public hearing. They've been through the process with the planning commission. These are, this first one on Fig Street is to put a residential unit on the second floor over a commercial structure. It's, again, no problems with it. Staff recommends approval.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 1 Fig Street conditional use permit with the 3 conditions that outlined in the staff report there. Entrance has to be directly to the street and not through the establishments. They have to go through the Historic District Review Board as appropriate and obtain all required permits and approvals from building and planning departments.
Got a motion?
Second?
Got a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Conditional use permit application, 301 Mason Avenue, tax map A3, 83A3-1-615B.
A very similar request, Mr. Mayor. This is for 301 Mason for 2 apartment suites over commercial. Again, it's been through the process, been no problem. Staff also recommends approval, and as Councilman Grossman suggested, with the conditions recommended.
We have a recommendation?
I'll make a motion again that we accept the conditional use permit for 301 Mason Avenue with the 3 conditions as stated in the staff report.
Got a motion? Got a second? Any discussion?
How do they get out, how do they get out of there? I don't see any of this, 'cause that's right above Lemon Tree.
Right, but they have a stairwell going up the back,
It's in the back?
yeah, off of Strawberry, is it
Strawberry on the side.
No, is it, all right, there must be a small door there or something.
Yeah,
Okay.
there is.
There it
Okay.
is. Any more discussion?
Yes, I was gonna have a question if anyone, but I don't think there's anyone representing the applicants tonight. But I was just gonna ask, because I know this property had a permit for a roof several months ago, but a lot of work has already been going on in that space. So I was just wondering if this was something they had actually already started and were coming for blessing afterwards. But, because they've been working in that space for months. But
Not my understanding, but I can check.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Cape Charles Community Trail, Phase 4.
Hey, Bob.
I'll let Bob start with this. He's obviously way more versed in this than I am.
Okay, good evening. I'll try not to beat up on VDOT because that's already occurred. For those of you that have served on council for a while, you know that we've had a grant approved for Phase 4 of the community trail for some time. Phase 4 is on Bay Avenue, and there's a description of the planned improvements in the staff report. Execution of that project has been delayed through, as they say, a series of unfortunate events. The delay in execution of the Phase 2 contract on Peach Street in Washington. And then you will recall that over a year ago, we got abnormally high bids on Phase 3 in South Peach Street. And we are changing the plans and specifications to reduce the cost on that. And we hope to, if the project is funded, award a contract in October to build that. The problem with the Phase 4 money is that the rules of the program are that once awarded, construction has to occur within 4 years. We're nowhere near that. So VDOT headquarters is pressuring Hampton Roads District to get a project agreement executed and get down the road, so to speak, or they're going to deallocate the money. That puts us in a difficult situation. Obviously, the project in the camp program is not scheduled to commence until next fiscal year, so this would advance it one fiscal year. We would, if you don't sign, I'm sorry, if the council doesn't approve signing the project agreement, they will deallocate the money and we will have to reapply for the grant. It's a 2-year application window. It closes October 1st. We have to have the preliminary application in by August 1st. And then, if approved, the money would be available to start engineering in October of '22. My concern, of course, is if it continues not to score high, there really is not much sense in reapplying for the money. VDOT will, and the Transportation Board will get a little tired of that. So we have a conundrum, and that's where we are.
So what this example has shown me is that our camp document needs some tweaking. I remember it was a brand new document. It was a really good first attempt, but I think there needs to be some consideration in the scoring for the leveraged funds that the project can bring, because there really aren't any extra points awarded for that now. The other thing that the camp current scores do not adequately consider is its compliance, its consistency with the strategic plan. So I think when we get into budget cycle, we may want to propose some unique some changes on how we want to start scoring projects further, because as Bob said, the way it's currently done, anything that we have to take care of what we have before we build something new. Well, we always have more of what we have than we can ever afford. So it's always going to score low. So even if we took that into consideration, even if we were to consider that maybe it wouldn't necessarily be at the bottom of the scale. And by the way, I apologize. The camp schedule that was provided in the packet was the wrong one. It's only slightly wrong. I gave you the one from the work session, not the one that you approved. So the one I handed out tonight is the correct one. There are only minor differences. The point being is that there's still over $780,000 worth of need in the capital budget for next year, and as of tonight, we have $0 identified for any of it. So we've already said that phase 3 is our top priority. That's $200,000 away. I don't know how we're going to pay for that. So adding something else that scores below that when we don't have any idea how we're going to pay for any of it is not, in my opinion, responsible, and therefore I cannot recommend that that you move forward with this, even though it would be giving up some money. I think that's a trap municipalities fall into sometimes, is chasing money, and it's not always the right thing to do. Yes, it would be nice to get some fancy lights on Bay Avenue, but you know what? It's not the end of the world if that doesn't happen. It's not like it's a super critical project. It's a nice-to-have project, and there's opportunities for maybe doing that in the future. We can potentially reapply for the grant. I don't think it's reasonable to think that we can reapply this year, so you'd be looking at a 2-year cycle. It would be 2 years before we could reapply again. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to try to apply now if we don't have the money for it, and if it's not going to score well. So I'm not saying it's off the table forever. We could reapply, we could get the money, but I say I wouldn't count on that tonight. In my opinion, it's premature to commit to this. But that said, I'll salute sharply and do whatever you tell me to do.
All right, we've got a staff recommendation. Can I get a motion?
Well, I'll make a motion that we do not approve moving ahead with phase 4.
Second.
We've got a motion, we've got a second. Any discussions, questions?
Yeah, I'll just reiterate what John is saying. Camp, you can criticize it, but it is what it is. We took a stab at prioritizing. We have a system of doing it, although it, okay, maybe not a level 4 with some adjustment, it doesn't bring you up into the category 1 or 2. The amount of monies that we have parked there, you'd have to bump one of those in order to get there. So this is a good tool, and it lays out where we are, and we have to make adjustments when these things happen.
Well, first, I want to thank staff because as I was going through this, I thought the report, you did an excellent job of balancing the pros of moving forward versus not moving forward, and just knowing how much time and effort staff has invested in the trail overall in this phase. I was actually pretty impressed with that objectivity, so I just wanted to say, great job, guys. But also, yeah, I mean, I think when we were discussing these at camp, the strategic retreat, you know, we might not have assigned points, but we did discuss, we factored into the discussion that it would mean losing these leveraged funds if we didn't rank it accordingly. So I think as long as that's taken into account, I'm not sure we need a formal scoring process, but I agree 100% with what you said, John, of, you know, we've gone through all this, let's not at our first opportunity sort of break our new rules for something that's not, you know, life or death. I mean, I hate to see us lose the money, and I hope we could get it back, but I think the way you put it describes my position perfectly.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Opposed?
And before we move on, I would like to thank Bob Panic for all the work he's done on the Community Trails program. It couldn't have happened without his efforts, and thank you, Bob, for
Yes, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
One clarification, does the motion include not applying the cycle?
The what, I'm sorry.
Does the motion include not applying for the grant this cycle?
We would have to apply, it started in May, is that what you said? So we would have to start reapplying in May, or we'd have to wait 2 years to reapply again. That's Bob's question, is should we try to reapply again in May, or wait 2 years to reapply?
Well, my thought on that is if there's money out there to be had for something, apply.
We don't know.
Yeah, that's the case.
Yeah, I maybe I misunderstood. I thought you were saying it doesn't make sense to apply now.
That was
Because we'd be the same
that was my
situation.
opinion, in that until we can redetermine how we're going to rank our projects, so that something like that would rank higher. It's a lot of effort. It's going to fall on Bob's lap. I mean, it's a lot of time, his effort and time to do it, and I don't want him wasting his time if it's not something we're going to fund.
And if we don't follow through twice, then I think our credibility for future funds would in
That's
fact
the-
take a hit.
That's the point
Right.
Bob just made.
I mean, it's understandable one time, I mean, it's COVID and funding, but yeah,
That's
if
the-
we do it
that's-
twice on the same project, then,
That's,
yeah.
that's the point Bob made. So.
What's the turnaround time if you apply by the time you hear an answer or it gets appropriated or?
The final application is due October 1st. We would have an answer within 6 months. The money would be appropriated October of 22,
And
which would be in.
you got 4 years to use it?
Well, no, you have to, since these are now VDOT administered projects, the town would have to sign an agreement and send them our share of the engineering money for them to start design. That's how it works. They've changed the rules of the game because many localities have had difficulty.
And this is so you can apply this May and it'll be 2023 before we can apply again, roughly.
No, yes, 2023, that's correct.
Okay.
It's not,
I'm okay with that.
it's not that far away.
Yeah,
Yep.
it'll be here before we know it.
Yep. Okay.
Just want to have to rerun.
Request to VDOT for speed limit reduction on Route 184 Stone Road.
There was a lot of discussion about this already, Mr. Mayor. I won't reiterate all of it. The history was outlined by the speakers. We've been through this once before in 17. I agree with what the speaker said, that when it's a different world today than it was in 18 when the last time this study was done. One of the key things I did notice in the study that was done in 18 was that, yes, they monitored the speeds going through that area, but the other, and I think probably one of the more critical components of their study, was the research on accidents, injuries, and damages that occur in that area. And at the time, that study showed it was 0, 0, and 0. There was nothing in the record at that time. I don't know for sure, but I have to imagine that there's numbers there now.
Oh, yeah. There've been accidents.
So the information is different. However, I will say this. While I support the resolution and I recommend that you approve it, as a general concept, I think we have to be careful that we don't just take the easy answer, the easy solution. Sometimes just putting up a sign doesn't do it. You have to take human nature into account. My concern is that you just put a 25-mile-an-hour sign out someplace that seems rural, that there's no physical cues to let a driver know they're supposed to slow down. They're not going to slow down. So that's why I added, if you notice, I added something to the resolution you didn't ask for, and that was that should this be approved, that we also request that just east of the 25-mile-an-hour zone in the westbound lane, they put in some rumble strips. So there's some kind of a physical notice to drivers that it's time to slow down. Otherwise, my fear is that you're going to give a false sense of security to the public, that it's 25 miles an hour, it's safe to go out there, and cars are not slowing down. Now you're inviting people into the kill zone. And that's a little bit of an exaggeration, obviously. But I'm saying that's my concern. So while in this particular case, I think it's warranted and I support it, I think in general, just lowering the speed limit by itself has to be considered in the broader context. So.
All right, we've got the staff recommendation. Can I get a motion to adopt resolution 2021-0415?
So moved.
Second?
All right, we've got a motion, we've got a second. We've got into discussion. I'd actually like to start with the discussion on this. I think studies show one thing. Eyeballs and common sense and visuality show something completely different. I would really, even after the study, I think for safety concerns of our citizens and our guests, somebody's going to get killed in that area if that speed limit ain't lower. So what I would like is to ask council now is to tap onto this, and I would actually like for a second motion to authorize me on behalf of you guys to send a letter to the Board of Supervisors to request for them to request the same thing, but also request from the access road to the corporate limits to be lowered to 40 miles per hour. That's in the county. The county's got to request that. We can't. That's not in our jurisdiction. So I would.
The town limit sign is not correct. Where it says Cape Charles corporate limits is not correct.
Yeah.
Almost to the new road. Art Center sign, where the town of Cape Charles starts.
It's almost where?
To where the Art Center sign is on 184.
Well, wherever that time limit.
Is just west of the new road intersection.
Just west.
That corporate limit sign is wrong, has been wrong for 15 years.
So, well, whatever, wherever it may be, I think there's got to be
Well,
a
I think there's a
slowdown.
process, I don't think you can go from a 55 to a 20.
Right.
Yeah. So
I just want the county's help, is all I'm asking.
So,
Send a formal letter.
So, Mr. Mayor, just to clarify, what you asked for is what I put in the resolution.
Okay.
So it says right in the resolution that from the new road,
Right.
that we're requesting that the step-down speed start at the new road, drop to 40.
Right.
From there to Hermitage Road, which is kind of right where the incorrect city limit sign is now, and then
Right.
25. So exactly what you asked for is what's in here. So
Right, but still, it's in the county,
right.
and the county's gonna have to help us.
Can I take it a little further for you, is also CC Linwood and Bloxham? Send it to them, and
Not,
then
I'd say not CC makes separate
send it
requests.
directed to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They gotta know what's going on, because they're gonna be the force that's gonna push VDOT. And if they don't do it, send it to Northern. I don't care, send it straight up to the top.
Well, I mean, Mark
Man, these
said,
guys.
you know, well, that study was done prior to the momentum starting. I mean, the governor was here in July of 2018, kicking off this surge of 14 businesses. So the governor certainly knows.
Yeah.
That's when it started forward. So their study was done, and my guess is they did it in like October, like they did the one at Food Lion.
Yeah.
When nobody's
It
here.
only took 2 deaths before they decided to put that.
And the truth of the matter is, I believe, and actually, I believe VDOT thinks that we want to lower it just because some golf carts can go out there, and it's not the case. It's not the case. So, any more discussion?
Nope, not from here.
So, no more discussion. Can I get a roll call vote?
Buckles, yes.
Holloway, yes. O'Brien, yes.
Grossman, yes.
Fulmer, yes.
And I guess I have permission from council on behalf of
Well, I'll make a
council?
motion that you that carry forth this request also through the Board of Supervisors as well as our state representative to petition for the same.
Okay. Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
I just want to just state, because sometimes things with VDOT can get lost in their piles.
Not this one.
I bet Mark and I and some others will be glad to call weekly if we need to get the attention. If, we just can't let this set.
Yep.
And we have so many examples of stuff being just piled on and ignored. So we need to make that commitment.
Parking?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, not going to do that again.
All right. Town manager comments.
All right, Mr. Mayor, a couple of things tonight. First, I've been contacted by the Hampton Roads Sanitation District with regard to the projects they're doing on the shore now. And the mayor and vice mayor participated in a meeting with them a week ago or so. I've reviewed that meeting, the video of that meeting, and I've since spoken with them, and I have a follow-up meeting Bob and I do next week. Essentially, what they are looking for is to conduct a study of what the southern portion of a regional wastewater system would look like. And they are very much aware of where we are in our process of potentially evaluating these unsolicited proposals to sell our utilities. And I've had some pretty frank discussions with them about that. But I think it's in everyone's best interest to have every option on the table. And so the HRSD is going to be conducting this study. All they're asking for is the support of the towns to participate in the study. It does not commit us to do anything. It does not require any financial commitment. It's just that I need to bring forward a resolution that you'll pass and say, yes, you approve of the study, and that we'll cooperate, give them whatever information or data that they need to do this. So I see no reason not to. I recommend that we do that. I didn't have it in time for tonight's meeting, but I did promise them I would mention it to you to make sure there was no concerns. And once I get a sample resolution, I'll bring it forward on an agenda soon. Any questions about?
When is the study, or when would it be conducted?
Immediately, as soon as they get all of the participating municipalities to pass a resolution. And they know the time frame involved with our evaluation. As a side note to that, Bob and I are in the final stages now of evaluating the proposals that we have. We've narrowed it down to 3. Now we've kind of have it down a little further. So we hope to be making a recommendation on that soon. But what's consistent amongst all the proposals is that we're looking at a 60 to 90 day time frame for them to do their work anyway. So by the time we can award a contract and they can do their work, I communicated that time frame to HRSD, so they know that they have that same time frame to get their work done.
So ultimately, their goal is to bring a study to demonstrate why it would not be beneficial to go to an outside
I think-
sale versus joining the crowd there.
No, I don't think it's that specific to us. It's a more of a general study to the whole lower shore that would identify this as an option, but I suggested to them that it include an option that did not include Cape Charles, just on the eventuality that we couldn't participate because we went a different direction. And this is where my frank discussion came in, is that, you know, the studies might want to suggest concessions that might make it more reasonable for us to consider them. But I don't know exactly how it's going to come out. It's unprecedented territory. Typically, the district does not purchase systems per se. I mean, it's turned over to them to run.
Right.
However, as was done up north, they did cover the debt, you know, relieve the debt. That would obviously be something that would have to be a minimum here, but I brought up, well, what about any residual value that the town of Cape Charles, the citizens of the town of Cape Charles would be foregoing? So they're going to consider that, and they're going to look at all that. So anyway, it's a good faith effort, and I think we should participate.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I'm just looking, what's the expected outcome?
Yeah, it's just, the expected outcome is a study,
All right.
and we'll evaluate that, and hopefully we'll get that about the same time you all be making other decisions, so.
Great. So when you, in the next work session, resolution?
Well, I don't have, they're gonna give me a sample resolution that I'll need to customize for us. Once I get that and I can turn it around, I'll bring it to you.
Okay.
The clerk participated in a webinar on some of the recent changes that have occurred at the state level with regard to that's going to affect us, and one of the big ones is the election. And what it appears is that we all know that the election moved to November, but now there seems to be an option available for your choice. If we do nothing, correct me if I'm wrong, if we do nothing, it essentially extends the current elected officials whose terms are up by 6 months, and we would have an election in November of 22 instead of May of 22. But there is an option, but that puts us out of sync with the state election cycle, which means we would have to pay for it. We'd have to pay for it. They're providing an option to do the opposite and shorten it by 6 months,
There you
which
go.
would move it to this November of 21. That would align us then going forward with state elections, and it would be much cheaper for us to do that. So that's something. Is that in a resolution we have to?
Yes.
So why don't you go ahead and.
I called Terry Flynn earlier today, but he was unavailable. So I still want to talk to him about what his thoughts are. But VML is saying that if we do opt to move everything forward, it has to be done by resolution, and have the resolution finalized before July 1 of this year. They recommended that we contact the city of Fredericksburg. They've gone through the process, and they said that it's the best effort that they've seen. So I plan on reaching out to the clerk or somebody in the city of Fredericksburg.
Fredericksburg brought it forward?
They've already, yeah.
Okay.
And I know the city of Norfolk is doing it now, because I read in the paper that they were scheduling their public hearings to move their elections to odd years, and at the time when I read it, I didn't know why.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
Yeah, until I was in the webinar yesterday, and I was like, oh, I understand now.
Yeah.
But,
I get it.
since I just found out the information yesterday, I haven't really had a chance to do a lot of research. But I asked John just to bring it up as something for you all to think about.
I would recommend that council have them move forward with the resolution, so we're on the same years as the state, and it saves the town money.
Well, that was my question. How much does it cost?
About $2,000.
Yeah, the last regular election cost us over $2,000.
But it would cost us 2,000 every time we did it, right?
Yeah.
Because we would be off, always off.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
last time when we had our special election, the cost was like half of that.
Right. And when would people have to, when's the deadline for people to have to
File?
file?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get from
Because I was
Terry
just
through. I think
curious.
it's June.
Yeah, I was gonna say we should know, I mean,
July
because we
work.
just appointed Helen.
Yeah.
No, that means that we would have to do the resolution as soon as
As soon as
possible.
possible,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
But VML is saying that July 1 is the latest we can do it without having to go through a charter change.
I got you.
So,
I just don't think, I mean, if it's gonna save money and everything. I mean,
is there, yeah, I mean, is there,
I think, so we need to give him a consensus. Does everybody want to move it to this November instead of waiting later November?
Well,
Yeah.
I would just,
All right.
say maybe we have a discussion on it, because I know when the law was, there was considerations of the new law at the state level, there were arguments that, of for and against, of, why it was good, both good and bad, to have the local elections aligned, with the national, so I just think it's.
so you don't need to make a decision tonight. I can
Right.
just bring it forward
Yeah,
and you can
I
vote
just-
it up or down, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can have the discussion then.
Yeah.
And, you know, vote it up or down then. And if you vote it down, it would go back to 22. If you vote for it, it would move to 21, right?
Now, several years ago, I think it might have been several councils ago, one of the council members brought forward that we move the election at that time to November. And the majority of the council opted not to, because their concern was that if we ran it in line with the state and national elections, our elections would pretty much be lost in it. And on the flip side, the reason that the other ones wanted to move it to November, you would get better participation
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
better turnout.
Yeah,
Having
If
worked
it
the
was
polls
just more
is
than
amazingly
town, so.
different, yeah.
Yeah.
I've worked the polls on both, not on this.
Well, I'll tell you, it worked for me when I ran, because I ran and it was during the national election, and quite honestly, I got probably 150 more votes than that time than did the previous time. I still had the most votes both times, but
Yeah.
Just saying.
just saying.
All right, so we'll put that together and bring it forward, and you can debate it and vote on it at that time. You know, some other things that came up that we can talk about electronic meetings and such. They've changed the rules on that, which is going to give a little more freedom for you to be able to participate electronically. Before it was, you know, outside of emergencies, you were limited to 2 a year. Now I think it's 25% of the total meetings.
25%, whichever's more.
So.
And they added the illness of a family member. It's not just your own illness or personal matter.
So those things we'll bring forward. And then the last thing I wanted to ask about, get your thoughts on, is I'm still a little too new here to get a good sense of how the public reacts to some things. And although this is, again, another VDOT issue, VDOT owns all of our roads, but they're on Monroe with the median and all the growth there. It's very hard. People are parked there to get by, especially if there's a big vehicle like a boat or an RV. Our concern is, you know, getting emergency vehicles through there if necessary. But I get this. I get the character of the street. At issue is specifically on the east side of Monroe, where that center strip is much wider. The west side, there's nothing we really can do. I mean, it's already too narrow. It is what it is. But on the east side, there's room to actually eat into the median a few feet and make the road passable, make it wider. To do that will mean losing the shrubbery and trees that are right along the edge. The ones that are in the middle would stay, but the ones right around the edge would be sacrificed to that. Now, that's not our call, it's a DOT call. But I think DOT was kind of looking to us for our blessing, if that's something we wanted or not. And again, I haven't been here long enough to make that call. I was just wondering what your thoughts are on something like that.
So,
Well,
I was
I mean, I live on the 600 block, so are we talking the 600 block, the 500 block, which feels
The
very different?
the entire east end of it, so from the park to Fig.
I'd rather see the boats go someplace else before we start breaking up the median, to be honest with you. But I'd have to walk it and see what it would feel like. I don't know of any trees that are on the, within 6 inches of the,
There are more bushes right along the edges, or very young crepe myrtles, that sort of thing. Is John still here?
It's, if you look down the side, if you look down, you'll see where people are driving on the median now. You'll see the ruts all the way down. So if you notice, it's already been widened about 24 inches or so once before. That's that strip. Cars are getting bigger, ambulances are bigger, fire trucks are bigger. There's a line of crepe myrtles that are probably a foot or so off the edge of the median in places. And the fig trees, things are growing out. So when I was met with VDOT the other day, looking at trees, we also talked about that. So possibly coming into the median 2 to 3 foot on each side. So basically everything that's down the center line will stay. You lose pretty much anything that's shaded left or right off the center line. So if you want to look at it, that's what you lose. And it would make the road much more passable for everybody, not just delivery trucks and ambulances, but for residents. I mean, you live there, you know what it's like trying to drive through there and get past a truck that's got its mirror sticking out. There was, VDOT came through and trimmed everything up nice for us, so it's even a little better now, but it's still very difficult to get any kind of vehicle up and down.
so about 2 feet each side, are we talking? Like,
2 to 3 foot over, yeah.
Same, we get the same problem.
Same problem on Beach.
Right, it's
Yeah.
it's the exact same problem that I asked Tammy to look at for, on Peach.
Right.
In fact, I was gonna bring that up next.
But
Well, and I was gonna say, John, just to update everyone, I brought it up to John on the south end of Peach, and as we end at the park, we have a wider median, but the divots are at least 18 inches to 2 feet naturally by people going off because of space. And I thought your response was a good one, and that is that if we were to be able to get consensus of the owners, that we would put in a request, possibly. I would hate for us not to consult with ownership on that area. I thought that was just a really good approach. I don't know how to manage that per se, but I think it's smart. Otherwise, I do think what you're gonna go up against is going to be difficult.
And I think for clarity in talking to the public, I think it'd be premature to do it prior to our discussion. I mean, we went to the state and got the authority to discuss boat and RV and large vehicle parking. I think we would need to be able to present them with an answer on whether we're doing that or not before we ask their opinion on this.
Yeah. And I frankly don't have the capacity to do that. The only reason we're considering South Peach is because Tammy volunteered to try and get the consensus on that strip. But I've been no volunteer to do that on Monroe. So if we have to do that first, then
Sure, and I would still consider to do that. I mean, we've had a good example recently because there's a lot of work being done on Peach. And those trucks, I mean, the divots are getting huger and huger
so would
on
it be
that.
curbed or just cut in? Would there be a curb put in, or would it just be?
I can request they put a curb in. That's not a bad idea, to keep the dirt from encroaching.
Because it'll just keep running.
Because the
Yeah.
dirt keeps running back in, so I can request a curb and put in.
if it was wide enough, you could. I mean, you can't do that if it's not wide enough.
Right.
But and right now it's not. But if we do widen it, we could maybe do that.
Because that might be a selling point, because it'll look nicer, you know, for people who maybe know.
These are the guys that didn't want sidewalks, remember?
Well,
So-
I would like,
All right. That's the direction. I guess I got the direction.
I would like to, that kind of preludes into something else. Last year, we asked the state, the General Assembly, to give us a little leeway on parking of boats and stuff like that. And one of my concerns, and I stood up here and I said, is fire trucks and stuff, being able to get down Monroe and getting down to Peach Streets and stuff. I think we need to get back on that topic, and help our emergency vehicles be able to get to where they're going. And then we don't have to do the whole time. We could pick streets like Monroe and pick streets. I mean, we have that authority. So So. I think
Yeah,
that's
I've been
something
getting a
we
lot
need
of
to move forward
complaints
on.
about that.
Huh?
I've been getting a lot of complaints and people wondering what happened to that discussion.
So that's, I think that's something that we need to bring back up to the forefront at some point in time.
It's on the list.
I know it is.
Okay, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right, mayor and council, comments. We'll start with Mr. Fulmer tonight.
Nothing tonight.
Mr. Grossman,
Nothing tonight?
Mr. Bryan, Ms. Holloway.
I have a few things.
We know
I'm
you
sure
do.
you're surprised. They're quick and easy, though, I promise. Just an exciting one, and that is this sidewalk sales this weekend for all of Mason, Strawberry, all the businesses, 16th through 18th, starts on Friday, goes through Sunday, and the townwide yard sale. Jen's got tons, I saw the post today, there's quite a few houses that have signed up.
Up to 18.
Oh, really?
It's awesome. The energy is gonna be great. We put an ad in the Eastern Shore Post, and mainly through social media. I know you guys did, I think, in the Gazette. And we're asking Joan to put out a special flash just to kind of remind everyone. But it's gonna be, I think, great energy in the town again. The Eastern Shore, I'm the representative for Eastern Shore Tourism for the town, and we hired a new executive director. I don't know when he starts though, John. Has he started?
I think you started already.
Okay, so I will have, once he gets settled in, have him come forward to kind of introduce himself. He comes to us through Hannah Sidney, I believe. Hampton. So you don't say Hampton. Hampton. I know that. And then the other thing is, just to kind of give a general overview, as a Virginia Main Street community, when you're kind of in that first year, you have to go through accreditation, kind of different pieces, and you get specialized services along with that. So monthly, the board is meeting with different specialists from Virginia Main Street to further expand our opportunities. And our next one is on design and streetscape. And we're gonna be hosting a meeting with property owners and business owners to talk through what grants and things like that are available. I'd like to invite John to that meeting so that he can listen in on some of those kind of discussions. But we're doing kind of a whole streetscape evaluation from really Town's Edge coming in. And then, you know, from there, the goal is to plot that out in some way over years and how do we move forward, and involving the town obviously as a partner in that. But it's a great free service. I mean, we would have to pay a lot for this. And then it's funny on the lines of emergency vehicles. We're getting into park event season, and Jim and I are celebrating 10 years at our house, and we patiently put up with it for 10 years. What goes on during a concert in the park on our block makes me so nervous as a former event planner. In fact, we had it happen. An emergency vehicle cannot get in. An ambulance, we during Love Fest the first time, we had to call an ambulance and they could not get through. So we have to have the people who are coordinating the event and signed up to do it take ownership of that and managing it, because yeah, we're a golf cart community and that's great and we can park them anywhere, but to block the throughway and the entrance for an emergency vehicle, I just can't watch it anymore. It just goes against everything I do. So I really hope that we can kind of address that in some way for people for the summer.
Thank you very much. Councilman Buckholz?
No.
If it's all right with you, I'm going to put our community relations manager on the spot for a second. Would you like to speak about the Blessing of the Fleet in Cape Charles Day?
Sure. So the Blessing of the Fleet will be April the 30th. We have a special welcome speaker that I am not at liberty to discuss yet, but hopefully we can in the very near future. Everything's coming together. We've got 3 of our clergy lined up and waiting to hear back from a couple of others, which really surprised me. Our clergy tend to be a little in the older range, so I was a little nervous. Still waiting on the Coast Guard Auxiliary. They may not be released. They're having trouble getting their boats inspected because of just the backlog of COVID. But the Coast Guard has offered to back up if they can't. It will break the hearts of the auxiliary if they can't. They love this event as much as everybody else. So a attendance is looking good. And then Cape Charles Day, I gotta admit, I haven't done a lot of planning. The shredded truck, it kind of takes care of itself, besides the advertising.
Will the shredded truck
The
be
shredded
that
truck
day?
will be here, that's why we picked that day. Libby had already scheduled them, they couldn't make the original date, so she
Yeah.
got them for the next date they could.
And it's June
June 12th.
12th.
Yes,
Awesome.
yes.
I got a big old.
Yeah, so we'll reach out to organizations to join us and of course our staff. I think attendance will be very high this year because I think people are just ready to do anything where they can get outside and enjoy. So I'm really going to encourage staff to be present this year.
So I didn't know about the shredder truck.
Yes, so get your
I know,
shredded
right?
stuff ready.
I got a
Spread the
hefty bag full.
Do you know what the weight was last time?
It was close to 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, so it's a very good, well-liked service by the community. And anything I did not answer?
Nope, that was perfect. Thank you so much.
And the mayor will be speaking at Less Than the Fleet. And one more event we have coming up pretty soon is Clean the Bay Day. They've moved it to an entire week this year. And that's to kind of spread people out so everybody's not. But on June 5th, we will be joining with the Rosenwald School and directing our volunteers there to clean up that
Nice.
area.
Yeah, good.
We're going to have some big machines out there to get some of the stuff cleaned out.
Good.
Hope they're not digging because they might find a lot of trash.
That's why they're doing it, because they do, it's my understanding, it used to actually be a dumpster.
I know, that's what I mean. Talking about the dig too deep.
So,
Last time when I did the cleanup, I was like digging through and I found a pair of men's shoes. And then I kept going and I found a tie. And then a
Oh,
shirt.
sure.
And I said, I'm out. I'm done.
there it is. So we do report the weight of, what we collected today or this week, but, they do have a category for the strangest thing found, and some very strange
Yeah.
things that,
Yes.
probably some stuff that shouldn't even be
No.
reported, but. And also, so after that event, the Rosenwald folks will have a little bit of a prolonged event so they can get word out about what they're trying to do. They're very excited for
Nice.
the future, and we're hoping to have a guest speaker there as well. So
Very nice.
things are coming together. We're getting outside and doing
Yeah.
things. I will tell you, I won't keep much of your time, but the events are coming through like crazy. Everybody just is, they're getting
Buckle your
married, they're
seatbelts.
having memorial services, all these things that they've just had to put a hold on. We're getting flooded, which is great. I mean, it's a wonderful, everything's working out, the dates aren't clashing, so, but we are gonna have a very busy summer. So get ready.
Yeah. Thank you very much. The only thing I want to add, thank you Supervisor Coker for being here tonight, and thank you for standing up, and we are going to take you up on that offer. So we're going to ask for all the help we can get. And look, thank all the staff for everything y'all do. I do appreciate it. The only thing I've got is a couple of announcements. Got the Town Council special meeting on May the 6th, and Town Council regular meeting on May the 20th. With that being said, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Opposed? I didn't think so.